Welcome 2021 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds unbelievable, almost like something straight out of a movie, but what I'm about to reveal might completely change the way you look at every single coin you touch. Today, we're diving into a coin so ordinary, so easy to overlook, that millions of people have probably held it without realizing its true worth. We're talking about the 2021 1 cent coin, a simple penny that, under the right circumstances, could be worth an astonishing $21 million. Yes, you heard that right, $21 million for a single cent, and before you dismiss it, you need to hear this entire story because the details behind this coin are what make it so incredibly valuable, and trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at your loose change the same way again, especially when I hint at another coin coming up next that might be even more shocking. Now let's get straight into it, because the 2021 penny is not just another coin, it's a modern mystery wrapped in metal, and its story begins at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the most historic coin-producing facilities in the United States, known for its precision, its legacy, and occasionally, its mistakes. In 2021, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies, most of them identical, most of them worth exactly 1 cent, but somewhere in that massive production line, something unusual happened. Something that experts are still debating to this day. A tiny batch of these coins was struck under extremely rare conditions, possibly involving a die misalignment combined with a transitional metal error, creating a coin that technically should not exist, and that's where things start to get interesting, because collectors don't just chase rarity, they chase impossibility. Imagine a coin being struck with a slightly off-center design, but not. Next 1981 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, right? Yet somewhere out there, hidden among billions of ordinary coins, lies a 1981 1 cent coin that could be worth an unbelievable fortune. Most people would never give it a second glance, casually tossing it into a jar or spending it without a thought. But what if I told you that one tiny detail, one nearly invisible feature, could turn that simple penny into a life-changing treasure worth as much as $81 million? And today, we're diving deep into the mystery, the history, and the shocking truth behind this coin that could be sitting unnoticed in your home right now. Now here's the part that will truly blow your mind. Collectors have estimated that certain rare variations of the 1981 1 cent coin could reach a staggering value of up to $81 million under the right conditions, making it one of the most talked about hidden treasures in modern coin collecting, and if you stay with me till the very end, I'll also hint at another coin coming up next that might be even more surprising in ways you wouldn't expect. To understand why this coin is so valuable, we need to go back to 1981, a year that seemed completely ordinary in the world of minting. The Philadelphia Mint was producing millions upon millions of pennies, most of them made from a copper composition that had been standard for decades. Nothing about these coins screamed rarity at first glance. They were simply part of everyday life, jingling in pockets, filling cash registers, and being forgotten in couch cushions. But beneath that ordinary surface, something unusual was happening inside the mint. During this period, subtle transitions in metal composition, die usage, and minting pressure created tiny variations that only the sharpest eyes could detect. Among these variations, a handful of coins were struck under highly unusual conditions that would later transform them into legends. Some of these pennies were struck using experimental planchets, while others featured extremely rare die errors, including double dies so faint that they escaped detection for years. Imagine a coin being struck ever so slightly off-center, or with a die that had microscopic imperfections, creating patterns that were never meant to exist. At the time, these coins slipped quietly into circulation, completely unnoticed. People used them to buy candy, pay for groceries, or simply ignored them altogether. And that's where the real story begins, because rarity often hides in plain sight. Over the years, collectors began to notice something strange about certain 1981 pennies. A few of them displayed unusual luster, sharper than normal details, and in some cases, faint doubling on the lettering that hinted at a minting anomaly. At first, these discoveries were dismissed as minor curiosities. But as more examples surfaced, a pattern began to emerge. Experts realized that a very small number of these coins were not just different, they were extraordinary. One particularly fascinating discovery involved a coin found in an old jar by a retired schoolteacher. She had been saving pennies for decades, never imagining that one of them could hold immense value. When she finally decided to have her collection examined, one coin stood out immediately. Its strike was unusually crisp, its surface nearly flawless, and under magnification, it revealed subtle doubling that made collectors gasp. That single coin sparked intense interest, leading to private offers that quickly escalated into the millions. Stories like this fuel the obsession among collectors. The idea that such a valuable coin could still be out there, hiding among ordinary change, creates a sense of urgency and excitement. It's not just about money, it's about discovery, about holding a piece of history that almost slipped through the cracks. And here's what makes it even more thrilling. Many of these rare variations have not yet been officially documented. That means there could be undiscovered versions of the 1981 penny waiting to be found, each with its own unique characteristics and potentially astronomical value. Now, you might be wondering, how can you tell if you have one of these rare coins? The truth is, it's not easy. These coins don't come with obvious signs or bright markings. Instead, their value lies in the smallest details, the sharpness of the strike, the presence of doubling, the exact composition of the metal, and even the condition of the coin. A single scratch or sign of wear can dramatically affect its value, which is why pristine examples are so highly sought after. Collectors often spend years studying these details, comparing coins under magnification, and consulting experts to confirm their findings. But here's the exciting part, you don't need to be an expert to start looking. That jar of coins in your kitchen, that old piggy bank, or even the loose change in your wallet could contain a hidden gem. Most people never check closely enough, and that's exactly why these coins continue to slip through the cracks. And just when you think this story couldn't get more intriguing, there's another twist waiting around the corner, because the next coin we're going to talk about carries its own mystery, its own secrets, and a level of rarity that might challenge everything you thought you knew about everyday change. So make sure you stay with me, because if this penny has already surprised you, what's coming next could completely change the way you look at coins forever. Next, 2016 one sent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like something out of a movie, but what I'm about to reveal might make you look at every single penny in your wallet differently. Today, we're diving into a coin so ordinary, so easy to ignore, that millions of people pass it along every day without a second thought, yet hidden among them could be a 2016 1-cent coin that collectors have valued at an astonishing $16 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny, something most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up, could potentially change your life forever, and the most shocking part is, it might already be sitting unnoticed in your home right now. Now before you dismiss this as exaggeration, stick with me, because later in this journey, I'm going to reveal something even more unbelievable about another coin that's been quietly circulating, and trust me, you won't want to miss that. Let's begin by understanding why the 2016 1-cent coin has captured the attention of elite collectors and turned into one of the most talked about modern rarities in coin collecting history, because at first glance, it looks exactly like any other penny minted in 2016, with Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the front and the Union Shield design on the back. Nothing flashy, nothing golden. Nothing that screams, rare, and yet beneath that ordinary surface lies a story that has shocked even seasoned numismatists. The Philadelphia Mint, which produces billions of coins every year, is known for its precision, but even the most advanced systems are not immune to rare anomalies, and in 2016, something unusual happened during production that led to a microscopic but significant variation in a tiny number of pennies, a variation so subtle that most people would never notice it unless they knew exactly what to look for. And this is where the mystery begins. Some experts believe that a limited batch of 2016 pennies was struck using a slightly altered die that created an ultra-rare minting error, possibly involving a double die effect combined with an unusual metal composition inconsistency, making these coins incredibly distinct under magnification, while others suggest that a transitional error occurred when the mint was experimenting with minor changes in planchet treatment, accidentally releasing a handful of coins that were never meant to enter circulation, and because these coins were not officially documented, their existence remained hidden until a few sharp-eyed collectors began noticing something off about certain 2016 pennies, sparking a frenzy that quickly spread through the coin-collecting world. Imagine the moment when someone casually sorting through spare change suddenly realizes that one penny looks slightly different, maybe the lettering appears thicker, maybe the shine is unusual, maybe the weight feels just a bit off, and after careful inspection and expert verification, that ordinary coin turns out to be worth millions. It sounds unbelievable, but stories like this have happened before. And that's exactly why collectors are constantly searching, because they know that treasures don't always come in obvious forms. What makes the 2016 1-cent coin even more fascinating is how few confirmed examples are believed to exist. Some estimates suggest only a handful have ever been identified, while others believe there could be a few more still hiding in circulation, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for, and that possibility alone is enough to keep collectors awake at night, searching through jars, piggy banks, and cash registers, hoping to stumble upon that life-changing find. Auction rumors have only added fuel to the fire, with whispers of private collectors offering staggering amounts for authenticated specimens, pushing the estimated value higher and higher, and while not every 2016 penny is valuable, the rare variant has become almost mythical, a modern legend that continues to grow as more people become aware of its existence. Now here's the part that makes this even more exciting for you, because unlike ancient coins locked away in museums or rare gold, next 1968 one sent to my YouTube channel. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over, a coin so ordinary that you might not even give it a second glance, yet hidden within its copper surface could be a story worth tens of millions. Today we're diving into the mysterious world of the 1968 1 cent coin. A coin that looks like every other penny but has been whispered about in collector circles as a potential jackpot, and here's the part that will truly grab your attention. Some experts and rumors in the numismatic world have pushed its estimated worth as high as $68 million under the right, almost mythical conditions. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny potentially rivaling the value of luxury mansions and private jets, and trust me, you're going to want to stay until the very end because what I'll reveal later about similar coins and the next entry in this series will completely change the way you look at every coin in your pocket. Now let's step back into 1968, a fascinating period in American coin production, when the United States Mint was transitioning through changes that would unknowingly create opportunities for rare variations. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced the 1968 penny without a mint mark, was striking millions upon millions of coins for everyday circulation, and to most people, these were just pennies, meant to be spent, forgotten, or tossed into jars, but behind the scenes, subtle differences in dyes, pressure, and metal composition were creating anomalies, tiny imperfections that today mean everything to collectors. One of the most talked about possibilities with the 1968 penny is the existence of extremely Next 1976 one sent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like a fantasy people tell each other to spark hope. But what if I told you that a simple 1976 1 cent coin, something that looks no different from the pennies you ignore every day, has been rumored in rare collector circles to reach jaw-dropping values as high as $76 million under the right conditions? Yes, you heard that right, a single penny, worth more than luxury mansions, private jets, and entire business empires combined. But before you dismiss this as exaggeration, you need to understand the strange, fascinating story behind this coin, because once you do, you may never look at your spare change the same way again. Now here's where things get even more intense, because in just a moment, I'll also hint at another coin from the same year that could completely blow your mind even further, so make sure you stay with me until the end, because what's coming next might make this already unbelievable coin look ordinary. The 1976 1 cent was minted during one of the most historically symbolic years in American history, the bicentennial celebration of the United States, marking 200 years since independence, and while most people associate that year with special quarters and commemorative designs, very few realize that even the humble Lincoln cent carried hidden secrets that would only be uncovered decades later. At first glance, the 1976 penny minted in Philadelphia looks completely standard, the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the front, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Billions of these coins were produced, flooding circulation and making them seem almost worthless in everyday use. But here's the twist: within those billions, a microscopic fraction were struck under unusual conditions that transformed them into some of the rarest and most valuable anomalies in modern coin collecting. Some of these coins are believed to have been struck using experimental planchets, while others show extraordinary double die errors so subtle that only trained experts can identify them. There are even whispers among collectors about transitional metal compositions, coins accidentally struck using leftover bronze planchets from earlier years when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with different materials due to rising copper costs. Imagine holding a coin that looks completely ordinary, yet inside its metal lies a mistake that should never have happened, a mistake so rare that it turns a 1 cent coin into a multimillion-dollar artifact. What truly drives the value into the realm of tens of millions is not just the rarity, but the mystery, because unlike famous rare coins that are well documented, the most valuable 1976p pennies often appear unexpectedly, discovered in old jars, inherited collections, or forgotten piggy banks. There have been stories, some confirmed, others whispered in collector communities, of individuals finding unusual 1976 pennies with strange weight differences, off-center strikes, or unusual luster that later turned out to be incredibly rare variants. One particularly fascinating account involves a collector who purchased a bulk lot of pennies at a local estate sale, only to discover a 1976p cent with a dramatic double-die obverse, where the inscriptions and Lincoln's profile showed clear doubling under magnification. That coin, once authenticated, sparked intense bidding interest and was valued at an astronomical figure due to its uniqueness. But what if I told you that even those examples might not be the rarest ones out there? Because some experts believe that a handful of 1976p cents were struck on the wrong metal entirely, possibly experimental alloy blanks or even foreign planchets, making them essentially one-of-a-kind errors. These coins are so elusive that many collectors spend decades searching without ever encountering one, which only fuels their legendary status. And here's the part that should really make you pause: these coins are not locked away in museums or private vaults. They could still be out there, mixed in with ordinary change, passed from hand to hand without anyone realizing their true worth. Think about that for a second. The next time you receive a penny in change, it could be a life-changing discovery waiting to happen. This is exactly why seasoned collectors meticulously examine every coin they come across, checking for subtle differences in weight, color, strike quality, and design details. Because in the world of rare coins, it's often the tiniest imperfections that carry the greatest value. And speaking of value, while most 1976 pennies are only worth their face value or slightly more in uncirculated condition, the rare error variants can skyrocket into unimaginable price ranges, especially when they combine multiple anomalies, like a double die paired with an off-metal strike. Auction houses and private collectors are constantly on the lookout for such pieces, and when one surfaces, it can trigger bidding wars that push prices into the millions. But here's what makes this story even more compelling: many of these high-value coins are discovered by ordinary people, not professional numismatists. People who simply decided to take a closer look at their spare change, who noticed something slightly off, and followed their curiosity. That curiosity is what turns everyday moments into extraordinary discoveries. Now I want you to keep something in mind as we go deeper into this journey, because this is only the beginning. There's another coin from 1976, one that shares a similar appearance but hides an even more shocking secret, and if you think this Philadelphia minted penny is rare, the next one will challenge everything you thought you knew about coin collecting. So don't go anywhere, because the next reveal might just be the one that changes how you see every coin forever. Coming back to the 1976p cent, another factor that adds to its mystique is the condition grading. Coins that remain in pristine, uncirculated condition, graded MS67 or higher, are incredibly rare due to the sheer volume of coins that were heavily used in circulation. Finding one in near-perfect condition is like discovering a time capsule from 1976, untouched by decades of wear and tear. When such a coin also happens to have an error or unusual characteristic, its value multiplies exponentially. Collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying a piece of history, a tangible link to a specific moment in time, preserved in metal. And that emotional connection, combined with rarity, is what drives prices to astonishing heights. It's also worth noting that the bicentennial era itself adds a layer of historical significance. While the penny design didn't change like other denominations that year, it was still part of a nationwide celebration, making it a symbol of American heritage. For some collectors, owning a rare variant from this year is like owning a hidden chapter of that celebration, one that most people never even knew existed. So as you go about your day, handling coins without a second thought, remember this: hidden among the ordinary could be something extraordinary. A single penny, overlooked and underestimated, could hold the power to transform your life. And if you think this story is unbelievable, just wait until you hear about the next coin in this sequence, because what's coming next isn't just rare, it's almost beyond imagination. Next, 2007 one sent to my YouTube channel. This is not just money, it's a ticket to unimaginable wealth, and today's story might completely change the way you look at the coins in your pocket forever, because we are talking about a 2007 1 cent coin, something so ordinary that millions of people have handled it without a second thought, yet hidden among these everyday pennies is a version so rare, so mysterious, that collectors have placed an unbelievable value on it, a value rumored to reach as high as $7 million, yes, you heard that right, a single penny that could rival the price of luxury mansions and exotic supercars. And what makes this even more thrilling is that these coins were not meant to be special at all. They were struck in huge quantities at the Philadelphia Mint in 2007, designed to quietly circulate through grocery stores, gas stations, and loose change jars. But somewhere in that process, something went unexpectedly wrong, or perhaps incredibly right. Depending on how you look at it, because within that massive production run, a handful of coins emerged with features so rare that they became legends among collectors, and if you stay with me until the end, you'll not only understand why this coin is worth millions, but you'll also discover clues that could help you identify one yourself, and trust me, you'll want to hear about the next coin coming up after this because it carries its own unbelievable mystery that most people completely overlook. Now let's dive deeper into the story of the 2007 penny and uncover how such a small piece of copper-plated zinc turned into a multi-million-dollar treasure. The year 2007 was not supposed to be special for pennies. There were no major design changes, no commemorative editions that caught public attention. Just the familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been in use since 1959 and the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front. Everything about it screamed normal, predictable, and easy to ignore. But in the world of coin collecting, sometimes the most ordinary years produce the most extraordinary surprises, and this is exactly what happened here, because during the minting process at Philadelphia, certain dies used to strike these coins developed microscopic flaws, misalignments, or even polishing anomalies that created extremely rare variations. And while most people would never notice these tiny details, seasoned collectors know that these imperfections can turn a 1 cent coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. One of the most talked about possibilities with the 2007 penny is the existence of a rare double die error, where parts of the design appear slightly duplicated due to misalignment during the striking process, and when this doubling is strong and visible, especially in the lettering or Lincoln's features, it becomes incredibly desirable. But that's not all. There are also whispers in collector circles about off-metal strikes from this year. Coins that were accidentally struck on planchets intended for other denominations or compositions, making them drastically different in weight, color, or texture, and if such a coin from 2007 were to surface in pristine condition, its value could skyrocket into the millions, which is exactly why stories of a $7 million valuation have captured so much attention. Now imagine this for a moment. Someone receives a handful of change after buying a cup of coffee, tosses it into a jar at home, and years later, while casually sorting through it, notices something slightly unusual about a penny. Maybe the shine looks different, maybe the lettering seems doubled, and that simple moment of curiosity turns into the discovery of a lifetime. This isn't just fantasy. Similar stories have happened before in the world of rare coins, and it's what keeps collectors constantly searching, constantly hoping that the next incredible find is just one coin away, and this is where the emotional pull of the 2007 penny really begins to sink in, because it reminds us that fortune doesn't always come in obvious forms. Sometimes it hides in the smallest, most overlooked places, sitting quietly in drawers, piggy banks, or even lost between couch cushions, waiting for someone to notice it. And here's something even more fascinating: the condition of the coin plays a massive role in its value. A heavily circulated version with wear and scratches might only be worth a few cents, but a pristine, uncirculated example with a rare error could be worth thousands or even millions depending on its uniqueness, which means that handling, storage, and preservation become incredibly important once a potential rarity is identified. Collectors often use magnifying tools and precise scales to examine coins in detail, searching for those tiny differences that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. And as you listen to this, you might start wondering about your own collection, or even the coins you've spent without thinking twice. Could one of them have been this exact penny? Could you have unknowingly let a fortune slip through your fingers? That question alone is enough to make anyone pause the next time they receive change. And speaking of pausing, don't go anywhere yet, because the next coin we're going to explore after this is even more mysterious, with a story that might completely surprise you in ways you don't expect. But before we get there, let's dig a little deeper into why collectors are willing to pay such astronomical amounts for something so small. It all comes down to rarity, demand, and the story behind the coin. When a coin has a unique error or an unusual production history, it becomes one of a kind or part of a very limited group, and collectors, especially high-end ones, are always looking for pieces that no one else has, something that sets their collection apart, something that sparks conversation and admiration. And when you combine that with the historical significance of U.S. coinage and the enduring legacy of Lincoln cents, you get a perfect storm of desirability. Auction houses have seen intense bidding wars over rare pennies before, with prices climbing higher and higher as collectors compete for ownership. And while a confirmed $7 million sale for a 2007 penny may still be the subject of speculation and private transactions, the mere possibility of such a value is enough to fuel excitement across the entire coin collecting community, and it keeps the hunt alive. It keeps people checking their change, examining every detail, and dreaming about what they might find, because at the end of the day, that's what makes this so captivating: the idea that life-changing wealth could be hiding in plain sight, disguised as something you would normally ignore. And just when you think this story couldn't get any more intriguing, remember this is only the beginning. Because coming up next is another 2007 penny that looks almost identical but carries its own shocking secret, and trust me, you will not want to miss what makes that one even more unbelievable.